Land Manager tab. This is the tool that you will use to add, edit boundaries, add, edit guidance lines, add, edit flags, and add new fields. So I've switched to my account that I've created, and we're going to go up here to the plus sign. I have no fields in mine right now, so we're going to add a field. I'm going to have to add everything here basically, so I'm just going to call it Hickerson Farms. And we'll just call this Hickerson as well for my farm, and then my field, we'll just call it home. Then you would hit save. That would add it to your tree. And then you could have the option to, at a later date, add a boundary to it. So if I hit edit here and then save, now I've got it over here in my tree. So then I could come back in, plus sign, add a boundary. Two ways to add that. You can freehand draw it, which is what I'm going to do, and then you could create one from a previous operation. I will go into another account here shortly and show you how to do that. So we're just going to draw new, and this is going to be associated with my home field. So at this point, I'm ready to draw. So I zoom in here, find me a field. We'll just draw this green one out right here, pretty easy one. So I'm going to come over here to my drawing tools. I'm going to draw out a polygon. So if you see, I've changed from a mouse to the plus sign here. Anywhere I click, it's going to start adding points. So I'll go through here and draw this out. And then when I'm done, I come back and click on my point that I started with, close that out, call it the home for the boundary. I tell it that it's my active boundary, and then I can save that. And as you can see, here's my boundary, 33 acres. If I wanted to add this piece in with it, I just come over here and hit edit, get my drawing tool back out, and start drawing in this boundary as well. And close it out again. So this actually is saying that this is an interior boundary. I'm going to call it exterior as well. Interiors could be trees maybe in the middle of a field, if you want to draw those in and to cut them out of your boundary, a waterway, whatever it may be that you need to cut it out, you could call that an interior boundary. And you noticed earlier it showed up as yellow instead of pink. So I'm done there. I hit save. And now my boundary has gone up to 42 acres. So that's how you freehand draw a boundary. So we'll close out of this, come back over here, and now you see I have a boundary for my field. So this option is to archive. If you wanted to archive the boundary that you have, if you put a check mark in here, if you put a check mark in here, it will make these be no longer grayed out, and you could actually choose to archive it. Right now, my tools for my recording device are getting in the way of that. You can also have the ability, so merge is maybe if these two pieces have come in here separate, so they were created off some as applied data, and it was saying this boundary was separate from this boundary, or it belonged to another field, I would hit this merge button here. It's going to ask me which field I want that boundary to be associated with, so I would choose the field that I want it to go to, and then I would be able to merge it in and hit save. And now, instead of two separate pieces, if this belonged to a completely different field, I can merge them in together. You can create a copy of it. The eye with the circle is just more details about it. So again, it's going to take you back to this page, tell you when you created it, if it's active or not, how it was, if it was hand drawn or created from as applied data, things like that. So if you click in here and edit, if a boundary you need to edit and you click on a particular shape, then it'll allow you to edit. I could start dragging these white dots back and forth, or if I want to make edits to this. Same thing with the interior boundary. You just click on it and start moving things around, and once you're done, you would hit save. So I'm just going to hit cancel here because I didn't really make any changes. As you can see now, that shows up in my list of fields back on my Maps tab. And one other thing I wanted to go over, the easiest way really to get boundaries in if a guy has them is to create a setup file for that. Include all your farms and fields and boundaries, and then come over to the John Deere Data Manager, browse for that folder. So I'm looking for a folder that says Hickerson on my desktop. I find that, I hit select folder, and it shows me that I have one setup file available. So I'm going to upload that into my account. So it says it's finished there. I come over here to my Files tab in the Tools portion, and it shows me right here, it's grayed out right now, but that's because it's processing. Once it's finished, this will all be black, and then I will have all those farms and fields back over in my fields list. So I just have one now. Let's give it just a minute, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. While we're waiting on that file to read in, I will go over how to bring in or do a flag for a field. So it's going to give you three options here. You can do an area flag, which basically means you just draw out a certain area. You can do a line flag, which you would drop a point and drop another for a line flag. Today we're just going to do a point flag. It asks me which field I want it to be associated with. I go next. So now it's going to ask me, where do you want to create this point? So I just come in here and say, you know, maybe in here in what looks like a waterway, I drop one. So it's going to give me the lat long for this. Now I have different flag categories I can choose from. Field notes, rocks, weeds. Let's just call this a field note. And my field note is this waterway rough crossing. Save that, and now it has my flag saved within the system, and then I could export that out to a display if I needed to, and that would show up. So if I ever want to hide anything, I don't want to see it, I click the little I button here, and that basically just hides it for the time being there. Another thing that you have the option of adding is a guidance track. We'll go over that in another account here once I show you how to create a field off of as applied data. I'll show you how to kind of edit some tracks in there as well. Okay, so we've jumped over to another account now. I'm going to show you about editing a guidance line. So I have this one guidance line under airstrip field. So if I hit my details and I go into edit, you see now that the guidance line is red with a circle at each end here. If I click on that, I can drag it across the field, move it however I want to set up a new guidance line. I can come over here and change my lat long or my heading for A and B on the lat long. I can rename it if I would like. I can enable it to snap it to the boundary, so build one off of the boundary a certain amount of feet. I can do things like that in here. So if I was done, I would hit save. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this, since this is not my account, but that's how you would edit a guidance line. We'll look at creating a boundary off of as applied data here. So I'm going to say we want to do this from a previous operation. I'm going to do this for airstrip field. I can call this new boundary here, and I say that I want to, make it off of seeding if I knew that that was a good map for 2018. If I want to make it off my harvest map, my spring map, whichever one of these I choose, it's going to kind of give me a preview. And if I like it, I hit save, and that would save that new boundary in there. Again, I'm not going to do that because this is not my account, but just kind of give you an example of how to do those things within an account there. So as I said earlier, you see that the archive export is now no longer grayed out. It's blacked out because I have something selected that I could archive if I wanted to. So we'll jump back over to my account and see if those boundaries have loaded up now. Okay, so that field has finished loading. Earlier, this is the only one I had in here. If I pan out to my whole operation, I now see these fields have loaded in. I didn't have to draw those in. I just loaded them up via setup file. If I go look at my fields list, earlier I only had this one home place for Hickerson Farms. I now have multiple fields loaded in here via a setup file, and going through John Deere Data Manager can save you a lot of time if you already have boundaries saved somewhere and can load them via a setup file. So that's kind of everything for the Field Manager tab. I know I jumped around there a lot, but hopefully that was a good overview for you.